sharing the stories of the tortured and the haunted. You are listening to Creep or Sleep.
Hello there, boys and ghouls, and welcome to episode 18 of Creep or Sleep. I am your host, The Goon, and this episode is part 6 of I Drive For Cerber. It's like Uber for the paranormal. Now, this series is wrapping up. We have this episode and then one more bonus episode for you all before we move on to our next series. I think you're all going to enjoy it, though. Now, when we last left off with Jimmy Boy, he was about to take off in a brand new car to pick up Michael. Let's see how things play out. So this next intro is actually something that Reddit user Mofucious wanted to put out there prior to the start of this episode, and I back it 110%. So I'm going to go ahead and read this intro. Before we get into this next installment, I wanted to dedicate this episode to the memory of Keith Flint and the thousands of others who have lost their fight with depression. This one also goes out to those currently fighting your way through it. Please know you're not alone, and help is more local than you know. Thank you, Keith, for bringing an edge to electronic music and for trying your best to fight your demons. You will be greatly missed in both the music industry and the hearts of all your fans. The candle in the window tonight is for you, brother. And I personally cannot agree with that enough. For everybody out there that has lost someone or that is personally fighting on a daily basis, please know that there are people out there that do care. There are people out there that love you. There are strangers out there that care. Reach out. That's all you have to do, is just stick out your hand. Don't put on that fake smile anymore. Please reach out and let someone help guide you and get you through this dark time. I promise you, I know from personal experience, things do and will get better. So from the bottom of my heart and Mofucious's, just please reach out. Now, on with tonight's installment. A lot of you are wondering if I still drive for Cerber and if I'll still share stories from the more comical and slightly spooky endeavors. The answer is yes, and I wanted to address that first and put your minds at ease. After this last weird stint, I'll need to take a break, but I will continue the drives and I will share with you the most interesting ones. As for a book, I'm not sure. Maybe when I reach 25 rides, maybe I'll hire someone to ghostwrite that novel. See what I did there? Yeah. The location of picking up Michael, don't trip, he said it was fine, was a shanty little bar that looked like it allowed indoor smoking and tuned a blind eye to quaaludes. Michael was dressed in cowboy boots with an adorable matching hat, a pastel orange, Western-style shirt, and very neat blue jeans. He resembled either a cop or someone who was trying to be a cowboy for the very first time. Kind of like with those Scandinavian folks who are obsessed with Westerns and intentionally go to the Alamo without a field trip slip. Westerns are boring, and I'm not sorry for saying it. He almost anxiously got to the front passenger seat of my car. His apprehensive nature completely negates what I heard on the phone. Goody, more weird shit that doesn't make sense. Maybe I'm just too simple. Who knows? He gets into my car, and I look at him like I'm expecting the first swing. Up close, he looks exhausted and in the middle of an existential crisis. I did not want to relate to this weirdo. Are you asshole? I asked, completely ready to die. It's inevitable in this line of work. Are you the intellectual? Oh, right. You're the dumbass that is about as well-mannered as a toddler riled up on Red Bull. Oh my God, he is me. I think I'm in love. Who are you? I asked, completely befuddled. I wanted to kill this guy just 2 minutes ago, very slowly. Now, kind of want to take this inside for a beer. Now you can't read either? How did they even let you have a license? In fact, how are you even still alive? He gave me this crazy one-eyed expression, leaning his face entirely too close to mine. Oh, and yes, he did sound like a genuine cowboy. Are you just gonna keep asking me unhelpful questions? Or are you going to play ball and tell me what in tarnation is going on? Yeah, I mocked him. We're in love now. It's okay. All right. I'm not Wade. I'm Michael, the Archangel. I'm not going to waste any more of your time. We have shit to do, son, he said, pointing to my mounted phone. On the screen was a destination in a residential area, a nice neighborhood that doesn't settle me in any way. Rich people are creeps, worse than my passengers, self-made monsters. Terrific. While we make our way out there, do you mind telling me why you decided to intercept my very well-earned date with death and dismay? I asked, less pushy. Despite enjoying this back-and-forth banter, I figured it was a bad idea to piss off an angel responsible for assembling victorious ethereal armies. I may be sassy, but I promise I'm not as stupid as I look. I don't care about dying, but no one is actually trying to earn a fast track to hell. Divination, son. What's it look like? He asked, putting a poorly handmade cigarette in his mouth. You're about to go marching to your death, and you have the balls to think you've got the balls for it. What? I ignored the fact that he lit up a cigarette in my car, which is typically a no-no, since this is technically a company car, and I'm still pissed at Adeline. I was just traveling down an even deeper rabbit hole of confusion. All right, I need to re-examine the facts. You're an angel, right? As in one of the angels? Yeah. He took a long, heroic drag of his cigarette and continued. And I'm here to save your sorry ass. You're about to tangle with the lone skinwalker. He raises his eyebrows at me. The Native American myth? Guess I shouldn't call it a myth at this juncture. That's right. What's dangerous about a lone skinwalker is they've been casted out of their tribe. He's only 150 years old, very young. Yeah, he's basically a fetus, I say, rolling my eyes. No, you would be a fetus in this situation. There are skinwalkers that are nearly as old as me. I immediately wanted to ask how old he was, but I thought better of it. The reason he is so dangerous is he's lawless, not bound to any tribal rules. Those skinwalkers have little of those to begin with. I impatiently tap my thumb on the steering wheel, now slightly excited to land at our next stop. I think I know what's coming. Since you're too bullheaded to back down and too stupid to handle this alone, I decided to help you out. He grinned, showing a couple gold-capped teeth and radiating confidence. In turn, I also felt confident. Thanks. Now where are we? I asked, putting my car in park and killing the ignition. I have a guy who keeps everything you need right here in his home. Can't exactly run a storefront with this type of material on account of licensing being a necessity in this state. Some folks just need to handle an advanced problem just one time. He unbuckles his seatbelt and climbs out of the car. Michael doesn't bother knocking and enters the home. Every room was unburdened by furniture as well as the lack of lighting. We head down to the basement, which was lit with a light violet, bathing the room in an emotional shade of calm. Littered about the room, which I can only describe as an organized mess of different types of weapons, stood a drag queen. Yep, very clearly a drag queen. The only reason I could even guess this was the cartoon-inspired makeup and a wig that looked like it could be a living creature piled high on his head. From the neck down, he was dressed in a skin-tight tracksuit, exposing his well-kept physique. I know, keep your mouth shut, Jim. Azazel, I brought the kid with the mouth on him, Michael says, pointing behind himself and me. In the most flamboyant voice imaginable, Azazel replies, Hey, honey, you're dancing with a skinwalker. Azazel does a mild salsa dance behind his workbench. So I'm told. I'm trying to remain professional because not only am I standing in the presence of an archangel, the drag queen standing before me is a demon. I know what Azazel is. Okay, I'm going to give you a 9mm handgun, 2 11-round magazines of pure silver, a Molotov cocktail, and a lighter. Now, you can't kill a skinwalker with silver. It'll only slow it down. Do your best to aim for his legs and arms. When a skinwalker dumps its human form, it'll have freakishly quick abilities in both arms and legs, so don't skip any limbs. By the time Azazel was finished giving me these directions, he had piled everything into a backpack. I'm sorry, I have to ask. Both Michael and Azazel were looking at me as though I was burdening them. Angels and demons work together? Fallen, asshole. I'm a fallen. Azazel crosses his arms, glaring at me. Right. You guys actually work together, I ask. Yes, Michael replies. Fallen were angels once too. Not all demons have bad intentions. Some like humans quite a lot and want to maintain a sort of balance. All right. I grabbed the backpack, completely done with religious topics. You mind fixing the interception, Michael? I would really like to finish this. Sure, kid. He waves at Azazel and we begin our ascent from the basement. One more thing, Jim, says Azazel, waving. Don't miss. You can't afford to miss. I nod with a smile and say, Thanks, Azazel. He smiles and turns around to finish his original project. As we're walking back to the car, I rehearse my plan in my mind. I've never actually shot a firearm before, so this was going to be interesting. I've also never had to huck a Molotov before. I may actually die trying to kill this thing. Michael and I get back into the car and I ask him, All right, I have to know, why is Azazel a drag queen? Michael let out a single chuckle and said, Well, Azazel was cast out of heaven for teaching humans how to build weapons and put war makeup on. He's always enjoyed cosmetics, so he decided to make it a hobby. Sounds reasonable, I said, with a genuine nod. So what does Wade want? Obviously, Michael has answers. I'm not going to be shy about asking. Not that I ever had that problem to begin with. Michael pulls out another shanty stogie, lights up, and gets comfortable. Do you remember what it was like losing Angela? How you felt lost, empty, and your life just had less flavor? Yes, I replied. Well, when some folks lose their sense of home and their people, they begin grieving in one or two common ways. Some become hollow, much like yourself. Some become angry and develop an insidious agenda. They hurt others to gain control of their own pain. Michael says, never breaking eye contact. So why Angela? I ask. Victim of circumstance, son. She's special, but not that special, he replied. Any idea as to why there was a silver bullet hanging from her body? What about the insanity parade he conducted on her corpse? I'm angry now. Not at Michael. I haven't had a taco in several hours. I put the bullet there. I was hoping that someone would have caught on to that clue. Of course, that was a bust. He takes another drag of his cigarette. The mutilation was pure rage. He's lost and upset. That's why he killed Angela before he had his fun with her. Watch it, Michael, I said swiftly. My sister isn't a sideshow attraction. Easy, son, he said calmly. I was actually hoping to piss him off. Point being is, he didn't have a reason. The whole point of all of this is he's just doing vile things out of rage. I was entirely unsatisfied with that answer. It's one thing to murder someone with intent, but to entirely disregard all life over a temper tantrum is a whole other level of evil. Do you know where Angela is? I asked. She's home, kid, he said, pointing upward. Her time here was served. She brought you to where you needed to be, so it was time for her to return. The oxygen in every fiber of my being was sucked right out of my body. Oh, sorry, kid. He puts his hand on my shoulder and squeezed. But we all go home at some point. That's just how it is. Yeah, I croaked. What was the point of even going after this thing now? The only reason I got involved was to help Angela cross over. She's done that now. Listen, I know you're probably thinking of quitting. Would you honestly want this to happen to another young lady? A child? He asked me gently. You put way too much faith in my integrity. I shook my head, scoffing. But no, I don't want this to happen to anyone else. I'm going to finish this. Good, Michael said, patting me on the shoulder. We spent the rest of the ride in silence while Michael chain smoked. I continued to rehearse my plan, and I was losing confidence with every repetition. Maim and set it on fire. Maim and set it on fire. Maim and set it on fire. I pull up in front of the bar I had originally picked Michael up from. Since Michael was not a danger to me in the slightest, his ride ended up being free. That's fine, I was in no position to pout about finances after the free gear to roast my sister's killer. Michael gets out of the car and rounds his way to my window. You gotta lay off the Mexican food, son. It'll kill ya. He half smiled and walked away. Thanks, Michael, I replied, watching him walk into the bar. I decided that this job was far too much for me. I couldn't possibly do this. Well, not alone. I exit the Cerber app and decide to make a phone call. Jim! Borg barks into the phone. Borg! I replied, attempting to match his gusto. Hi, Jim. Feeling better? I can hear his tusks scraping the phone as he spoke. Yeah, thanks, Borg. I put the backpack of Arsenal in my back seat. You feel like taking down a skinwalker with me tonight? Borg hate skinwalker. Borg help. Jim have right protection. Jim stupid. Borg have to ask. That gelatinous, jovial dick. Yes, Borg, I say, trying to remember his honesty isn't personal. I have silver bullets and a Molotov. Okay, Jim. Only fire, kill skinwalker. Borg, wrestle for Jim. I could hear whatever poor recliner he was ascending from cry out as he stood. Thanks, Borg. Oh, and one more thing, I add. Yes, Jim, Borg replies. Take a shit before you get into my car, please. Well, there you have it. Part 6 of Mofucious, I Drive For Cerber. It's like Uber for the paranormal. Sounds like Borg is teaming up with Jim for an ultimate tag team action. Be sure that you tune in to all the other Podbeard shows, and next week will be the final installment of I Drive For Cerber. It's like Uber for the paranormal. So until that episode, will you creep or will you sleep?